Hello. In a unexpected turn of events, McGrath Labs still can't do express shipping. Can you believe it? I can't. Shocking. Taking my Glow Lust by Auric. No worries, I'm going to save the rest of my rant for the actual video. I just wanted to let you know, in case you were curious whether Pat has started doing express shipping. No, she hasn't. She just charges for it. So for today's chatty part of this video, I thought we could go back to the topic discussing sustainable clothing. A few videos ago, I think in my melt pairing video, I talked a little bit about having discovered this YouTuber Daria Andrunescu and being very inspired by her videos to, you know, think a little bit more about my wardrobe. And, you know, it's a process. It's not something that you can change overnight or really have an impact with in a very short amount of time. But I've been thinking about, you know, what are the things that I can do realistically that would fit my lifestyle without, you know, turning into a saint all of a sudden. You know, I'm not going to be a saint. Statues are not going to be built in my honor, but I want to make at least a small contribution. I've been thinking what would be, you know, the best thing that I can do right now, and slowly as a process over the years to, you know, have at least a little bit of an impact. And I've made, you know, a little list for myself that I'm going to try my best, again, try my best, no 100% promises, to be more conscious of. So the first thing that I want to do, and actually it's something that I've already unconsciously been doing, not so much because of being sustainable, but because of my, you know, cultural background. I come from Eastern Europe, and, you know, post-communist Bulgaria was not a place where you could really afford to buy clothes and toss them every season. You just had clothes that you would wear for a really long amount of time because you didn't have fucking money. So because of that, I was already doing the first thing on my list, which is continuing to, you know, not approach my wardrobe as like a fast fashion store where I buy things, I wear them for a season or two, and then I toss them. I would like to continue to do what I've been doing so far, which is basically I have my garments and I wear them and wear them and wear them until they either literally fall apart or I'm sick and tired of looking at them because it's been a decade. That's how I've been approaching my wardrobe so far, and I think I'd like to keep that up. For instance, I will often repurpose old t-shirts for pajamas, for, you know, clothes to wear around the house. Oh, and here, let's open a little culture, let's explore each other's cultures. Side note. So, I don't know how it is in other countries, and I've discovered that it could be different per country, per household and whatever, but in Eastern Europe, most people will come home after work. First thing they will do at the door is take their shoes off. Nobody wears their fucking shoes at home because why would they bring all the outside dirt into the house? And second of all, they will immediately take off their outside clothes and they will put on their home clothes, which most of the time is just sweatpants with a t-shirt or something. And I've discovered that that could be different because I have friends who will, you know, walk around the house all day. Like they will get up and they will be at home all day, but they will still wear jeans around the house, and that makes literally no fucking sense to me because why would you be uncomfortable in your own house? But apparently it's you know, it's different between cultures, between households. People feel differently about it, so I'm super curious what you guys do in your house. Like, do you wear your fancy clothes and your jeans around the house? And that could be something you started doing post-pandemic because you work from home and you literally have no other place to wear your fancy clothes. But before that, or if you're going to the office again, do you wear your nice clothes around the house when you get home from work, or do you change back into your sweatpants? I love my fancy clothes for work, but I cannot wait to jump into my sweatpants when I'm at home. So anyway, going back to my points, I'm taking my Hourglass Moonlight Powder as usual. This was the first one, to just, you know, continue to use clothes for a really long time, so there isn't going to be a huge purge of my wardrobe or anything. I will just, you know, moving forward, I will try to be more conscious of the things that I bring in, which brings me to the second point in my little new rule book that I've made for myself. By the way, I'm now going to take the Milk Makeup Bronzer in the shade Baked, which is going to be to resist impulse purchase buying of clothes just because they are cheap. For instance, during end of the season sales, or when you go to an outlet and you walk into your, you know, favorite fast fashion type store and you see a shirt or a skirt or a dress and it only costs like 5 or 10 euros, you're like, they might as well be giving it away for free, of course I'm going to buy it. And I want to resist the urge of doing that, because most of the time when I buy clothes like this, I end up not really falling in love with them as much, and I will wear them a few times, just like with a new and shiny thing. I will wear them a few times and then I'll be bored with them really quickly, and a lot of the times that will be exactly the type of, you know, fabrics that I want to stop purchasing, which is polyester, but I'll get back to that in a little bit. So I want to resist doing that. It will be really difficult though, because like I said, when it comes to fast fashion, I am not the H&M and Zara type. The two fast fashion brands that I really like are, I'm taking the Lisa Eldridge blush now in the shade Dante's Dream. The two brands that I really like when it comes to fast fashion are Mango and Orsay. And I just, you know, find that a lot of the clothes they make fit really well with my aesthetic. I like the cuts and everything. I especially really like Orsay. So when it comes to fast fashion brands, those are two brands that I'm the most susceptible to. We do have Mango here, but fortunately they kind of closed the store that we had in the city center, so I can't really just casually walk into their store anymore and buy cheap crap, because I don't really have that option anymore. So I'm really happy about that. And Orsay, as much as I love them, are not at all in the Netherlands. They are a brand that I know from Bulgaria. I know they have them everywhere in Eastern Europe, and I want to say they're a German brand, and they definitely have them in Germany. But I don't really go shopping for clothes to Germany that often. So on the few occasions that I do, I might snag a thing or two from Orsay just because I can't help myself, but I will try to be at least very conscious of the type of fabric that the clothes are made of. For highlighter, I'm going to dig into the archives, and I'm going to take this Anastasia Beverly Hills glow kit, which is a bit of a mashup of two different glow kits, by the way. Not all the shades in here are from this specific glow kit, but I'm going to take this shade over here, which actually does belong in the original, how is this called, Sugar glow kit, and that is the shade Gumdrop, and it's a really pretty sort of like beige with a pink duochrome to it. And I really enjoyed this highlighter, or I remember really enjoying it, so I thought, why not give Anastasia Beverly Hills highlighters another shot today. And now let's slowly get into the eye look, which is going to be very mauve leaning. The first palette I'm going to take is the Eternal Eden Quad, where I would like to make use of this gorgeous sort of like mauve matte shade to put through my crease. So the final point, the final, you know, little rule that I have made for myself is that when I do purchase clothes, I cannot be 100%, you know, like I said, a saint. I don't know if I will be able to purchase from all the best brands with all the best ratings on apps like Good On You. I will try my best, but I will not always succeed, because Daria had this blog post, which I also linked in my previous video, where she had 100 brands recommended for, you know, their sustainability and ethical and moral, you know, stance. And I went through quite a few of the brands, and quite a lot of the brands I could tell, like from first glance, that they don't, you know, fit my aesthetic at all. So I need to find some sort of a middle ground. So I think what I'm going to do for now is I will continue to probably explore Zalando, which is a very easy way for me to shop for a lot of different types of brands. But I will try two things. First of all, I will try to look a bit more into their pre-owned section, because as of recently they've started offering this pre-owned section where you can purchase second-hand clothes from both fast fashion brands as well as more high-end brands. By the way, I have forgotten how much I like this shade. It's such a gorgeous tone of mauve. It's not too cool toned and grey leaning, but it's also not too warm toned and pink. It's just the absolute perfect shade of mauve. I love it. And it has such a nice texture to it, such a soft blendable texture. Anyway, so that's the first thing I'm going to do. I've never been opposed to like secondhand clothes purchasing. I have been in secondhand stores, I have purchased secondhand clothes. It's definitely not something that I'm against, as long as the garment doesn't look, you know, abused and it fits my aesthetic. I will purchase it. I don't care if anybody owned it before me. And the second and most important rule that I have made for myself as a part of like my third big rule, well, that was complicated for everyone to follow, including me. I'm going to start being more conscious of the fabrics that the clothes are made of. The next thing I'm going to do is grab the gorgeous Divine Rose 2 palette, where I want to take this shade, which is a bit more like a burgundy shade, but I hope that it will work for deepening the look a little bit. So I will try to mainly focus on decreasing the amount of polyester that I am purchasing, because polyester is a synthetic fabric and it is 100% not biodegradable. You can purchase more eco-friendly polyester clothes which are made of recycled polyester, but you have to be really mindful of that when you're purchasing. And if you're curious, by the way, about the different types of fabrics, the synthetics, the semi-synthetics, the natural fabrics, how they are made, what their impact on the environment is, how biodegradable they are, I highly recommend Daria's playlist on that. She has a whole playlist where she talks about the different types of fabrics. It is incredibly interesting to watch. It's really well made and I highly recommend it. You know, instead of like getting your information from someone like me who doesn't really have a lot of background knowledge about that, I highly recommend visiting her channel and watching this particular series if you're curious about the different types of fabrics. Because I already have a lot of clothes that I don't intend on getting rid of, and a lot of them are polyester based, at the very least that I can do is just use these clothes for a really long time before I get rid of them. And the same counts for other types of fabrics which are maybe more biodegradable, but they are not very environmentally friendly, such as for instance viscose and rayon. I have a lot of clothes that are made of rayon because I discovered Uniqlo a couple of years ago and I've acquired quite a lot of their clothing, and unfortunately a lot of the clothing offered by Uniqlo is made with rayon. When it comes to natural fabrics, just because something is 100% biodegradable, that makes it, you know, that's something that I also wanted to touch a little bit upon when I say that I'm not going to be 100% a saint. I'm going to try to at the very least purchase fabrics which are 100% biodegradable, but oftentimes these will not be made in a very eco-friendly manner. And if you think about it, there's pretty much no fabric that's really made in a very eco-friendly and moral and ethical manner. That just unfortunately doesn't exist. But at the very least I'm going to try to purchase more natural fabrics or fabrics which are biodegradable. I am now going to take my Pixie Epoxy glitter glue. For instance, one of the fabrics that she talked about in her wooden based fabrics is lyocell, also known as Tencel. And as it turns out, I actually have a couple of garments in my wardrobe which I really love. They're some of my favorites, which are made of Tencel, and that is one of the most environmentally friendly and completely biodegradable types of fabrics. The next thing I'm going to do is go back into the Eternal Eden quad and take this beautiful metallic mauve shade over here, which I don't remember the name of. I'm just going to use my finger for that. It's one of those shades that I feel like will apply best with your finger. So I will try to transition more into those types of fabrics, like at the very least natural fabrics. And just to give an example, cotton is a natural fabric. It's completely 100% biodegradable, but it is one of the biggest polluters out there when it comes to the fashion industry. So it's, like I said, very hard to draw the line between being completely biodegradable but also made in a environmentally friendly way. There's just no like really winning this. But you know, if you have to choose between polyester and cotton, or if I have to choose between polyester and cotton, I will try to in the future at the very least choose for cotton because it is biodegradable. I am a little bit confused when it comes to silk though. So I've been looking a little bit into purchasing a silk garment secondhand because I don't dare to purchase, well, maybe I dare to purchase a new one, but that's the problem. So I always thought, by the way, I'm going to the Divine Rose 2 palette and taking Eleganza and putting that in the inner part of my blade, if that wasn't clear. There must be tiers of silk. And by the way, when it comes to silk, Daria also has a great video where she talks about that, and silk is biodegradable, but it's not produced in the most, you know, animal-friendly way. She mentioned that there is an alternative which is eco-friendly, biodegradable, environmentally friendly, which is called piece silk. But I am going to guess that you need to go and really search for garments that are made with piece silk. But anyway, I've been searching a little bit on Zalando to maybe like buy a shirt that is made of silk and see how I enjoy it. But I've noticed that there's quite a difference. Like, you can buy a shirt that is 100% made of silk and it's relatively affordable, like let's say in the 50 euro range, which for me would be relatively affordable because I expect silk to be much more expensive. So for those of you guys who know your fabrics, how do you know what is the difference between the different types of silk? Are there different types of silk, and how the fuck are you supposed to know about it? Because it just says 100% silk, and I would assume silk is silk. But there must be a difference because some of them are 200 euros and upwards, and not only because they're from expensive brands, and others are really affordable, and I cannot for the life of me figure out the difference. Anyway, let's slowly start to finish off this look. I'm going to shut up. I'm going to take the Subversive palette now, and we're going to take this gorgeous duochrome shade, which is a purpley blue duochrome, and apply that kind of in the center of the lid. Not like covering everything, but like sort of dragging it a little bit over top of both the shade from the Eternal Eden Quad as well as Eleganza. Just kind of creating that beautiful layer of blue over the mauves. In my inner corner, I'm going to go back into the Subversive palette and I'm going to layer the Skin Show shade together with the Astral Ghost Orchid shade and see whether I can achieve a decent texture of those, because the Astral Ghost Orchid shade, I think that's how it's called, or something in those lines, it doesn't really have a very nice texture. At least the one in my palette is very sandpapery, very dry, and doesn't apply very well. But I do like to layer it over top of other eyeshadows because it has a very nice pink glitter running through it. So I'm going to apply that right here over top of the Skin Show shade. So that was a little bit all of my rambling that I wanted to do to update you on what my thought process has been in, you know, transitioning into a more sustainable and eco-friendly wardrobe. I don't think it's going to be like a very dramatic change, but there will be definitely a couple of things that I'll be a little bit more mindful of, and a few things that I think I already was doing a good job with. I think over the course of the last few years, not only with makeup, but also with my clothing, I had kind of transitioned into, okay, put the brakes on buying cheap shit just because it's cheap. On my lower lash line, I'm kind of going to repeat what I did in my crease, so I'm going to take the mauve shade from the Eternal Eden Quad and run that all over my lower lashes. And then I'm going to slightly deepen that with the shade from the Divine Rose 2 palette. Nothing too fancy schmancy. To complete the look, I'm going to take this Kiko eyeshadow stick in the number 36, which is sort of a purple mauve with a golden shimmer running through it. And I think it will just fit my lower lash line very well. So I'm just going to pop it right here in my waterline. As you guys can see, I decided to dedicate, you know, commit to it. If I'm doing mauve, let's just keep it very monochromatic. I'm wearing a mauve lipstick, as you can see on my lips. This is the shade Crisis from Urban Decay. It's one of their cream lipstick formulas, a really lovely formula, really lovely color, one of my favorites. Over top of that, you can tell that I have a gloss, and I would be surprised if you couldn't guess that the gloss is the Opulist gloss in Lavendering from Pat McGrath Labs. And this pretty much completes the look. I hope you enjoyed it. We are probably going to see each other at least one more time before the Utopian Dream palette arrives. I'm planning on writing my angry refund me for the express shipping and please send it out soon email to customer service tomorrow, because that will be almost 1 week since the palette was released and I purchased it. And they're probably going to send it out and it will be there in the middle of next week. But I hope that you have received your palette in the meantime if you have ordered it, or at least you have better luck with her shipping than I do and you will receive it within a more timely fashion. But you know what, I'm going to cut down the ranting because, you know, we gotta save something for the actual first impression / review type of video. Let me know how you enjoyed this look. Let me know if you have any specific thoughts that you would like to share on building a sustainable wardrobe. As usual, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!